Let's have a look at these numbers. Industrial production was the only one which kind of beat, but what kind of picture did it really paint for you?
I mean, it's not a big surprise on GDP, given primarily already spoiled number last night, right? So I think, but we think to some extent actually the five plus some number could be some underestimation of the real reading for the Q4 GDP. I mean, we suspect it could be some downward smoothing, so it's kind of way to boost this year 24's GDP. So, but given last year's...
But the base effects here, weren't there?
Yeah, so it's there already above 5%, so it's then really you need a very high number. So there can be some, because based on other alternative indicators, our nowcast forecasts, it suggests that the real GDP, the actual GDP reading should be maybe higher than the MBS told us. But that doesn't mean the economy is very strong. Like you said, it's a base effect boost, right? So I think the underlying momentum is still quite weak, and we look at the data details. Actually, the property downturn is deepening, right? If you look at sales, prices, investment, everything about the property market, it's worse than last month. So that means the property downturn is deepening. But a good sign is that the infrastructure investment is picking up strongly this month. So that could mean that some fiscal stimulus is feeding into the economy. So, but for this year, the downturn of property will continue, so we are going to see a similar story. So, yeah.
But it wasn't a case of good news being bad news and bad news being good, because the bad news wasn't bad enough, arguably, for there to be then cementing in place a conviction that policymakers were going to do something big, right? So, of course, the growth outlook now for this year is going to be largely contingent on what authorities do ultimately. Yeah, I think we heard another $1 trillion bond probably in the plan last night, right? So that means the policymakers, I think they're very well prepared or determined that they want to, propel the growth this year. But the thing is, the property drag is set to continue, and the thing is how strong fiscal stimulus they can roll out, trying to offset those drags. Right. Interesting that we got those youth unemployment numbers.
Yeah,
youth unemployment ex-students. Now, it was August that they stopped publishing it, and people were saying, well, they're doing this for a reason because they're worried about bad news getting out. But I suppose this inspires a bit of confidence, this data returning. And also we had population data as well today.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. Actually, I think at least it's a good sign that they're still disclosing the data, they're still publishing data, but although on a different methodology, but the number was still quite alarming, a double digit for that group, so that's still not a very good story, but at least the government acknowledging that, they do have some, problem for the employment for the young people, right? So, and the population decline, I think it's no longer surprising given we already saw the first decline in decades last year. So this year was just a continuing of that trend. And in the longer run, I think the demographic drag is definitely going to be a more challenging issue for long-term growth. But I don't think the government has any good way to counter that. It's just a trend everybody is accepting, right? But the thing is how you're going to trying to increase productivity, making the workers more productive, trying to counter the demographic drag.